it's a big day. I mean, it's my grand final. The race itself is so important, but then it gets down to the last 10 seconds of the Melbourne Cup. And for most people, that's what they judge my entire year's work on, how I go in the last 10 seconds of one particular race. So that's the kind of pressure I feel. You know, it's real.
On the first Tuesday of November, Greg Miles will enter the record books. He will overtake one of his idols, the late Bill Collins, as caller of the most Melbourne Cups.
Obviously it's been building up 1 year by 1 year, but it doesn't feel like I've done 34. 1981 just feels like a heartbeat away. It's gone so quickly. And I never set out to break any records. When I started, I thought if I could do 10 or 12 of these, it'd be pretty good. And to still be there after such a long time, I pinch myself sometimes, but I don't feel I belong in that sort of pantheon of the greats, really.
When the crowds go to Flemington this Tuesday, Bill Collins will be with them yet again. And he'll be there to make history, to call a record 34th Melbourne Cup. The ABC's Joe Brown was the previous record holder. His 33rd and final call of the big one was back in 1980.
And Belldale ball is nicely clear, 2.5 from Love Bandit and Brava Genie the outside. My Blue Denim is flying on the outside. Belldale ball in front. My Blue Denim won't make it. It's Belldale ball from My Blue Denim. Love Bandit third.
I'm going to go out when I've been calling well, and I'll never be remembered as a has-been.
But records are made to be broken, and during the week, the accurate one took time out to walk the famous Flemington Straight, the very turf that has been graced by champions for well over a century. He spoke of his profession, his memories, and of Tuesday, which will see his last call of the race that's dearest to his heart.
It was like a dream, Peter, a dream that you never expected to attain. To broadcast a Melbourne Cup, and I can still remember it as if it was yesterday. The first Melbourne Cup in '54 was won by Rising Fast, who took off he scooped the pool that year, incidentally, won the Caulfield Cup, Cox Plate and the Melbourne Cup. No, I didn't think, I didn't ever really expect to do it. I just hoped, and to think this year, you know, it's the 34th, it just doesn't seem 34 years ago.
How's it going to feel to break Bill's record?
I feel like a fraud, I think. I admired Bill so much. It's something I really haven't thought of, to be honest. Bill beat Joe's record, Joe beat Ken Howard, and to be even considered in that group of men just doesn't feel right to me. It seems to have happened too quickly.
Bill, is it possible to pick a young kid off the street and all of a sudden teach him how to be a race caller, or is it a God-given gift?
No, I think it's a God-given gift in the first place. Quite a few people, more people have got it than are calling races, but you've got to have it there for a start. You've got to have the background, be involved with racing, or be wanting to be a race caller from a very early age. You can improve it, you can develop it, but unless there's a real basis there to start on, no hope.
Could any kid off the street be a race caller, or is it a gift?
Look, I think the first thing that has to happen, you have to fall in love with the game. You have to fall in love with racing first, and then figure out how can I get involved in it. That's how I feel anyway. I don't think you could just say, you know, I'm sick of being an accountant now, I think I might be a race caller.
Greg didn't grow up in a racing household, but he was captivated by the call of racing's golden voices.
I was still a kid in short pants and going to primary school, and went to the track for the first time, and then I heard Joe Brown over the course PA, and I thought, I'm home, this is what I want to do. I would love being at the races, and I love the sound of that energy.
Zima about a neck in front, Lightfingers pegging him back. Lightfingers goes to Zima, they hit the line, locked together. Dead heat, a dead heat in the Melbourne Cup.
Salamander ahead in front, Hyperno's grabbing him. They go to the post together. Hyperno, if anything's one at a nose to Salamander.
Greg was 17 when he called the 1977 Melbourne Cup into a cassette player from the back of the grandstand.
150 to go. Golden Black tackled by Reckless. Golden Black a half in front. Reckless drawing level, but Golden Black for the cup. Golden Black 1.5 length to Reckless.
So whereabouts from did you call the 1977 Cup?
77 Cup. Well, it was up there. The stand's not there anymore. It was a level with the mounting yard, about that roof line of the old member stand, and about 150 metres from the post. So roughly about there. Not an ideal spot.
At 22, he succeeded Joe Brown as the ABC's caller of the race that captivates the nation. Well, you've got a commanding view, haven't you?
It's a great view. Except for on one occasion in 1979, I just moved into a new broadcast box. Frank O'Brien had retired, and I was in a box up there with a little balcony to my right-hand side, and it had remained empty all year. It had remained empty all Derby Day and all of Melbourne Cup Day, in fact, except when they jumped in the Melbourne Cup. I had this uneasy feeling that someone was watching me, and when they got to about here, 100 metres to go in the first round, I just had a quick look to my right, and there were two ladies with large hats holding their bubbles, and they were watching me and not the race. It was a very unnerving experience, Neil, I can tell you. So I had to deftly move my race book from my left hand to my right, and as I got to the post, I spotted them like flies. Otherwise, I would not have been able to see them at the turn out of the straight for about 300 metres. So terrific won that Melbourne Cup. It was not a terrific Melbourne Cup call, I can tell you. My heart was leaping out of my chest.
But the ladies got the hint, did they?
They got the hint. They disappeared pretty quickly. I never saw them again.
It was at about this point, just after the clock tower, that Kiwi put in that phenomenal run that brought it from last in an impossible win in the Melbourne Cup. And it was also about this stage, I suppose, that Gurner's Lane got through on the inside in Kingston Town's Cup. And everybody who was involved with Kingston Town, the owners, trainers and what have you, in the member stand, they all started celebrating it had won the Cup, even after it had gone past the post. You know, they all knew it had won. Of course, we knew it had been beaten by a long neck or something by Gurner's Lane, who got right up along the inside. But, you know, this marvellous straight, there's a lot of horses look winners coming to the turn, but they have mild heart attacks when they see how long the straight is.
Well, they call Bill Collins the accurate one.
Yeah, he was.
Did he have a special gift today?
I think he did, yeah. I'm sure he did, because he could actually have a go in a photo when the horses were bobbing and out of sync, and he'd say, I know this horse has got the bob, so it'll get the photo. That's a gift. I wish I could pinch it from him.
It's a big call, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the Melbourne Cup, you'd have to hang back a bit, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, look, I haven't done so a lot, and been touch wood, I've been a little bit lucky, but I just find, and I think every caller would, if you see a margin, it's hard not to call it. It's when you're not too sure, well, obviously you stay out, you know. No
guts, no glory.
Well, look, I'd hate to be wrong, because it's a long time to wait for the next one, you know.
At this point, I would say the loss of Bill Collins, as far as calling Melbourne Cups is concerned, is going to be a sad day for Australian racing.
He's performed in magnificent fashion for many years. He's been a great commentator, and they say records are only made to be broken, but by golly, I find it difficult to believe that Bill's record of 34 cups will be broken. Joe Brown, of course, staged had a magnificent career for 33 cups, and for Bill to beat him, his record, is really something.
No, she's an amazing place, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly, I think it's one of my favourite places in the world. Just to walk onto the course without, you know, sounding too corny about it.
Yeah.
I remember Joe, when Joe first started calling, he brought the guy who he'd replaced. He was an Adelaide guy called Jack Havey, and he'd called 2 Melbourne Cups, 46 and 47.
Yeah.
And Joe brought him out, he came back to Flemington, took him up and drove him up the hill, and he said, we stood up there. He said, great place, isn't it, Jack? And he looked across, and Jack was crying.
How difficult is it to call the Melbourne Cup?
I think it's getting harder, because these horses are coming from overseas. Nowadays, half the field, or probably a third of the field, comes from overseas, and the first time we see them quite often is when they walk into the mounting yard.
Do you worry about, you know, mucking one up?
Yeah, petrified about getting one wrong. Absolutely, yeah. There wouldn't be a caller who stood behind the 1050s and called a Melbourne Cup who wouldn't say the same thing. You just don't want to get one wrong.
Does it haunt you?
Anyone who's called a Melbourne Cup has copped plenty of criticism too, there's no doubt about that. I've copped it. You walk off the track thinking you haven't done a bad job, and I jumped into the car one year and they were taking talkback callers on a radio station saying how badly I'd done. And I didn't think I'd done a bad job.
It has had a big effect on a lot of callers, like Wayne Wilson on the most famous of Melbourne Cups.
Nothing wrong with it.
It was a great call for theatre, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He just didn't call the place getters.
Wayne was calling for TV alone, and he delivered a brilliant television call.
Media Puzzle 3 lengths in front. This is the one that Damien's wanted. This is the one that he's riding for Jason. And Media Puzzle goes to the line to win the Melbourne Cup. Damien stands high in the irons, salutes the heavens. That's for Jason.
He captured the moment, which was one of the most poignant in the Cup's history.
But he didn't mention the place getters, and for that he's copped a lot of criticism.
Yeah, he was unfairly criticised, and I've got no doubt about that. And I spoke to him on Oaks Day about that, and he was pretty strong in his own belief he'd done the right thing. And I was very glad that he felt that way, because he did not deserve the criticism that he copped. It's a special place, isn't it? You know, you can see the ghosts of the champions of the past.
And hear them.
Yeah, I can hear the echoes of the broadcasters up in the stands there. That's what it's just history in them. And right here and touch it, can't you?
One day some young caller will be hearing echoes of you.
Yeah, I'll be pushing up the roses.
Well, you've called a few close ones.
Yeah, there have been a lot of very tight ones. Viewed and Bow was really close, and Might and Power, and the two Japanese hit it together, and yeah, there's been quite a few tight ones. All the inside horses have won those photos, interestingly enough, and so far, touch wood, haven't tripped up.
She's starting to wind up. 300 left to go now. Mackay Diva's racing up. Envoy's trying to go with her. They've got to Portland Singer and Lachlan River. Here comes Like a Falcon and Excellent, but Mackay Diva clear with 100 metres to go. Excellent runs to second. Olajoon runs on, but a champion becomes a legend. Mackay Diva has won it.
You had some words ready for Mackay Diva, which the champion becomes a legend.
Yeah.
Do you have words ready for every horse in the Cup?
No. She was an exception, and I prefer to prepare for a Melbourne Cup without any lines rehearsed, because you can just stumble over your words, and it's far better just coming out, calling the action as I see it. But Mackay Diva was a little bit special. It had never been done before, and I just thought, I don't want to say she's done it again. I wanted something that really matched her performance. There's a lot more work goes into preparation for a race meeting now than there was in the days of the golden era of Burton, Bill and Joe.
Because people can see more.
Well, that's right, but there's more out there to be seen. In preparation, there's more sophisticated form guides, there's videos, there's speed maps, there's all sorts of things, and the race caller's got to know at least as much as his audience, and the audience knows all of these things because they have as much access to all of that information as we do. I feel now as enthusiastic and as interested as I was when I started. I'm keen as ever still to go to the racetrack, so I don't see the end game, and I hope it isn't somebody else who makes that decision for me, and I don't want to go too long. That's the main thing. I've done 35, or would have done 35 this year, but I sure don't want to go too long. So I reckon I'm closer to the finish than I am to the beginning.
Is Cup Day a nervous one for you?
It's a draining day, there's no doubt about that.
And when it comes to that moment when the nation stops, does it go through your mind how many people are listening?
Not at all, no. I'm then so deep in focus and concentration of those 24 horse names and the riders and the colours. The whole grandstand could burn down around me. I'm focused. Yeah.
Regatta's threading through, and so too Protectionist. Red Canoe hits the front. Sign Off coming after him with 300 metres to go. Willing Foe starting to run on down the outside, and Protectionist is bursting through. Protectionist race to Red Canoe, who shouldn't have armed